The recent India-Pakistan conflict, sparked by a series of border skirmishes and escalating tensions, has once again cast a shadow over the South Asian region. The conflict, while seemingly contained for now, raises a critical question: what if China, Pakistan's steadfast ally, were to intervene? China's involvement in such a scenario would have profound geopolitical implications, potentially drawing the world's two most populous nations into a direct confrontation. The stakes are incredibly high, with global repercussions. China's interests in the region are multifaceted. Beijing views Pakistan as a key ally in its Belt and Road Initiative, a massive infrastructure project aimed at extending China's economic and geopolitical influence across Asia. The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, a flagship project under the BRI, runs through Pakistan-administered Kashmir, a region disputed with India. This project alone makes Pakistan a crucial strategic asset for China. Furthermore, China shares a long and contentious border with India. The two countries have a history of border disputes, most notably the 1962 Sino-Indian War. China's potential involvement in an India-Pakistan conflict could stem from a desire to keep India bogged down in a two-front conflict, diverting resources and attention from their shared border. This would allow China to advance its own strategic interests in the region, potentially at India's expense. The possibility of a two-front war is a nightmare scenario for India, forcing them to divide their military resources and potentially face a protracted conflict on two fronts. This would have severe consequences for India's economic development and regional aspirations, playing right into China's hands. The potential for miscalculation and escalation in such a scenario is significant, raising the specter of a wider regional conflict with global ramifications. China and Pakistan share a deep-rooted strategic partnership, often described as ironclad or all-weather. This alliance, forged during the Cold War, has only strengthened in recent decades, driven by shared geopolitical interests and a mutual distrust of India. The foundation of this alliance lies in a shared history of security concerns. Pakistan, apprehensive of India's larger size and military capabilities, found a reliable ally in China. China, wary of India's growing influence in Asia and its close ties with the United States, saw Pakistan as a valuable counterweight. This shared strategic calculus has cemented their bond over the decades. The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, a multi-billion-dollar infrastructure project, has further solidified this relationship. CPEC, a key component of China's Belt and Road Initiative, aims to connect China's western province of Xinjiang to Pakistan's Gwadar port on the Arabian Sea. This project has cemented Pakistan's strategic importance to China, making it a critical link in China's global trade and infrastructure network. Beyond economics, the two countries share close military ties. China is Pakistan's largest arms supplier, providing Pakistan with advanced weaponry, including fighter jets, tanks, and missiles. This military cooperation extends to joint exercises and training programs, further enhancing their interoperability and strategic coordination. The depth and breadth of this partnership make it clear that China views Pakistan as a vital ally in its pursuit of regional and global influence. The recent India-Pakistan conflict provided a real-world testing ground for Chinese-made weapons, a significant portion of which make up Pakistan's arsenal. While the full extent of their performance is still being analyzed, initial reports suggest a mixed bag, with some successes, but also notable failures. This has raised questions about the quality and reliability of Chinese arms, potentially impacting China's reputation as a global arms exporter. One of the most closely watched weapon systems was the JF-17 Thunder fighter jet, jointly developed by China and Pakistan. The JF-17, touted as a cost-effective alternative to Western fighters, reportedly performed adequately in air-to-air combat. However, concerns remain about its overall capabilities, particularly its avionics and electronic warfare systems. On the other hand, the performance of Chinese-made air defense systems, specifically the HQ-9, has raised serious concerns. Reports indicate that the HQ-9 failed to intercept several Indian missiles, raising questions about its effectiveness against sophisticated adversaries. These failures could have significant implications for China's arms industry, potentially impacting future sales and partnerships. Furthermore, the conflict highlighted the limitations of relying heavily on a single supplier for critical military equipment. This over-reliance on Chinese weaponry could make Pakistan vulnerable to supply chain disruptions or political pressure from Beijing. The performance of Chinese arms in this conflict will undoubtedly be scrutinized by potential buyers, potentially leading to a reassessment of their reliance on Chinese military technology. As the India-Pakistan conflict threatened to spiral out of control, China's role in the eventual ceasefire came under intense scrutiny. While India maintains that the ceasefire was a bilateral agreement, reports suggest that China played a crucial, albeit behind-the-scenes role in bringing the two sides to the negotiating table. This raises questions about China's motives and whether it was genuinely interested in peace or leveraging the situation to assert its dominance in the region. China's initial silence during the early days of the conflict was telling. Beijing refrained from publicly condemning India's actions, instead calling for restraint from both sides. This measured response, in contrast to its usual vocal support for Pakistan, suggested a calculated approach. However, as the conflict escalated, China gradually increased its diplomatic pressure, particularly on Pakistan. Reports indicate that China expressed displeasure with Pakistan's initial attempts to involve the United States in ceasefire negotiations. This suggests that China was keen on maintaining its influence over the process, preventing external actors from playing a mediating role. China's subsequent engagement with both India and Pakistan, coupled with its close ties to Islamabad, appears to have been instrumental in bringing about the ceasefire. While the exact details of China's involvement remain shrouded in secrecy, its role in shaping the outcome of the conflict is undeniable.